This is episode 220 of Teacher Approved. Hey there, teacher friends. On Thursday this summer, we are sharing a weekly Can't Miss Classic, one of our favorite Teacher Approved episodes that is full of timely takeaways.
We handpicked these classic episodes to be ones we know you'll want to hear this summer as you recover and prepare for a new school year.
If you're already thinking about how to connect with your new class, this episode is exactly what you need.
Yeah, we're bringing back one of our favorite conversations all about a small but mighty strategy that can totally transform your classroom climate from day one: surprise and delight.
When we first aired this episode, the response was huge. Why? Because it taps into something we all want: strong, positive relationships with our students. Not just for the warm fuzzies, but because those relationships make everything about teaching easier.
The truth is, kids are more cooperative, more engaged, and more motivated when they know you like them and when they like you back. And surprise and delight is one of the most joyful, simple ways to build that relationship.
In this episode, we walk you through 5 teacher-tested ways to surprise and delight your students. Things like changing something, adding something, celebrating something, choosing something, and solving something together.
And these ideas aren't complicated or expensive. They're small shifts that create big impact. Things like a silly hat, 5 extra minutes of recess, or a quick dance break just because it's Tuesday.
So if you are looking for a way to kick off the year that feels fun, meaningful, and actually sustainable, this episode is packed with ideas you can use right away.
Let's make this year one that's full of joy, connection, and just a little bit of magic. So let's dive in.
You're listening to Teacher Approved, the podcast helping educators elevate what matters and simplify the rest. I'm Heidi.
And I'm Emily. We're the creators behind Second Story Window, where we give research-based and teacher-approved strategies that make teaching less stressful and more effective. You can check out the show notes and resources from each episode at secondstorywindow.net.
We're so glad you're tuning in today. Let's get to the show. At the start of the school year, one of our main goals is to build a positive relationship with each of our students.
Although our motivation to build those positive relationships is that we genuinely care for these new little strangers in our rooms, the benefits go way past happy feelings.
I read an article that said, positive teacher-student relationships have cascading benefits, and I love the image that brings to mind. I picture a waterfall tumbling over jagged rocks to the river below. At the top of the waterfall, we have the initial investment of time and energy in creating those relationships. But that pours down into increased academic gains, increased engagement, willingness to take risks, more time on tasks, fewer behavior problems, boosted attendance rates, more student independence, improved student mental health, increased confidence, easier parent-teacher communication, student cooperation, and an atmosphere of safety and belonging. And honestly, I could keep going if we had more time.
The benefit of these outcomes is robust for all students, but they have an even larger positive effect for our at-risk students.
Truly, investing time and energy in building relationships with our students is the closest thing we have to a cure-all in education. The only downside is that it requires being intentional.
We don't say that to make it sound simple or easy. Being intentional requires a lot of effort, especially when you already have so much weighing you down. It's all you can do just to keep your head above water.
But if investing in your classroom climate feels like one more burden, try to reframe it by realizing that positive relationships will make all of those other burdens lighter. Plus, having students who like you makes being a teacher way more fun.
Oh, that's for sure true. We've shared a lot of ways to build your classroom community recently. Go back to episode 148 if you want a refresher. But today we're talking about one of our very favorite ways to build positive relationships: surprise and delight.
We first talked about surprise and delight in episode 35 when we were little baby podcasters, and that was almost 2 years ago.
And if for some reason you didn't commit that whole episode to memory, first of all, rude, but I will give you a quick refresher. The term surprise and delight comes from the business world. The idea is that completely out of the blue, a business treats its customers to a valuable act of kindness with no strings attached.
You've probably seen some form of this on social media. In one example, Kleenex scoured Facebook for posts where people mentioned that they were sick, and then they couriered 50 special Kleenex care packages to those sick people all over the world. And Kleenex care package is quite the tongue twister.
One of the surprise and delight campaigns I remember most was from an airline company. Before boarding, the airline asked the passengers what they wanted for Christmas. Then, when they went to pick up their luggage, instead of suitcases coming off the carousel, it was all their gifts, including a giant TV. It was a perfect Christmas ad.
I just rewatched it for this episode. I totally still teared up. But I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to guess that none of us are working with giant TV money when it comes to our classrooms.
Sadly, no.
But surprise and delight doesn't have to cost anything, and the payoffs can be huge. Surprisingly, surprise is a magical way to strengthen relationships. A surprise shows that you care about someone. It shows that you understand them and then put in the extra effort to do something to help them feel happy.
So how do we apply the tool of surprise and delight in our classrooms, especially at the beginning of the year?
Luckily, it's way easier than it sounds. We have 5 teacher-approved avenues of surprise and delight. They are 1, change something, 2, add something, 3, celebrate something, 4, choose something, and 5, solve something.
Let's dive into our first avenue, change something. In the middle of January, you can get a lot of bang for your buck by making a change. You could change where the students do their math practice for a day, or change your schedule and teach afternoon subjects in the morning. But what can you change at the start of the year when students don't even know your routines yet?
Well, this is a little tricky, but we love a challenge. One thing you can do is change an experience from what's expected to what's surprising. Instead of giving a regular lesson, see if there's a way to give a cool lesson.
A lot of teachers like to start the year with lessons on kindness. You could change students' expectation by putting them in groups and giving each group a tube of dollar store toothpaste. Already, the kids will be buzzing with anticipation. Then tell the kids to squeeze out all the toothpaste. Every kid's dream, right? After all that toothpaste is in a bowl, hand each group some toothpicks and tell them to start refilling the tubes. Obviously, this will be slow work, so just give them enough time, maybe 5 minutes, to see how much work it will take.
Have everyone clean up, and then the lesson comes in. It is easy to say things. Words come out of our mouths all day long, the way that toothpaste comes out of the tube. If we say unkind words or uncomfortable words, they are out there. We can work to fix the hurt we cause, but it's not easy, and things may never be exactly the same.
That's a lesson that will stay with kids for a long time, but doing something so big and out of the ordinary is a great way to help students connect with you too.
And you're not limited to toothpaste-related activities, fortunately. You could make a memorable impact by wearing a costume.
Or even just a hat if you are like us and you're not a full costume person usually.
Well, I did have a feather boa and a big feathery pink pen that I sometimes used when I was teaching handwriting. I'd throw on the boa and I would bust out an over-the-top French accent as I showed them how to make their letters. Now, I need to say, this did not happen often because, let's be honest, how often did I teach handwriting? Not often. And I didn't even do it every time we taught handwriting because I wanted to keep the surprise part of the surprise and delight. Surprise keeps things interesting. And honestly, my kids were never more engaged than when Madame Le Stylo was telling them that their sloppy letter T's were making her pen weep.
Our second avenue of surprise and delight is to add something to your day. What if you surprised your class with an extra 5 minutes of recess one day? Or what if you came back from specialty class and led everyone in a round of super fast head, shoulders, knees, and toes?
Your kids would be grinning from ear to ear, and all that cost you was a couple of minutes.
You could also try adding something by integrating different subjects. Adding art to math is one of my favorite ways to delight students. You could have kids write skits to explain the water cycle, or go full Lin-Manuel Miranda and have them write raps about history.
Oh, dear. If you live in a place that's going to experience a change of seasons soon, is there a way to add the season to your classroom? Think about sensory experiences like sight, sound, and even taste. Just be sure your changes aren't too distracting for your neurodivergent learners.
I love the idea of bringing fall into my class. Maybe one day I could give them tiny cups of apple cider to sip while we watch our weekly phonics video. The surprise doesn't have to fit the theme of the other activities we're doing. We don't have to be watching a fall video to enjoy a fall surprise. The point is that surprise and delight elevate any moment.
And it's also important to remember that these aren't rewards. Your students aren't earning these surprises. They're just little prezzies from you to say, I really like being your teacher and I hope you like being my student.
Now let's get to the really fun avenue of surprise and delight. Celebrate something.
We love any excuse for a party. And with surprise and delight, you don't actually need an excuse. Wanting to celebrate is reason enough. So why not bust out a 30-second dance break just because it's a Wednesday afternoon?
One of our very favorite celebrations happened on the second day of school. As second grade teachers, we loved to celebrate the second day of second grade.
It was such a lovely change of pace to have an afternoon of just playing games together and getting to know each other while we talked about all things related to the number 2.
Celebrating the first day of first grade might be hard since the first day is already a big celebration, but you could do the third day of third grade.
Or you could skip ahead and celebrate the end of the first week of first grade or the 4th week of 4th grade. It might be nice to have a low-key little party to look forward to in a couple weeks. Just remember to keep it a surprise for your class.
Also, take a peek at the calendar. Anyone can celebrate the big holidays, but only the best kind of people celebrate the ridiculous ones. And FYI, Talk Like a Pirate Day is September 19th. Arr.
You can keep your celebrations simple without losing their importance. There's no need to do a full classroom makeover unless that's something you really love. I celebrated Talk Like a Pirate Day by having my students greet each other like pirates during morning meeting. It was just a fun little surprise and a few moments to be silly together.
NationalDayCalendar.com lists all the upcoming theme days. There's Star Trek Day on September 8th. You could teach your kids how to do the Vulcan greeting, live long and prosper.
September 16th is Play-Doh Day. You could bring in Play-Doh for a few minutes of fun, or you could change up a lesson and have the kids use Play-Doh to model a math problem, or even sculpt an idiom.
We recommend you avoid celebrating Beer Lovers Day on September 7th.
Yeah, I think that's maybe more of an after-school activity.
All right, we've changed something, added something, and celebrated something. Now it's time to surprise and delight by choosing something.
Choice is incredibly motivating for students, so let's talk about some easy ways to surprise students by offering them a choice.
I think the easiest way to give students a choice is to let them choose where to do their work. I don't mean flexible seating. Flexible seating is a great way to let students make decisions that support their needs, but flexible seating doesn't count as surprise and delight because it's part of the daily classroom culture.
With this kind of seating choice, we're talking more like you can decide if you want to work on your assignment at your desk or under your desk, but you have to be working under there. If you can't handle that choice, then I will have to make the choice for you to sit back in your seat.
You can also give students a choice by letting them vote. Offer 2 options for a read aloud and let the students pick. Or if you've got a minute before walking to the computer lab, let the kids vote on whether to go the long way there or the short way there.
The key to giving students choice is to make sure that as the teacher, you can live with whatever option they decide. It's better to tell your students that they can choose 3 problems to skip on their math paper than letting them choose whether or not to do their math paper at all.
Although most kids would probably find that both surprising and delightful.
We are up to our 5th and final avenue of surprise and delight, solve something. There are great ways to incorporate problem solving all year long, but it is especially useful at the start of the school year because it's a fun and powerful way to teach kids how to function in your class and how to work together.
We love the Pigeon books, and a fun extension of the Pigeon Has to Go to School would be having kids work together to design a mode of transportation for the pigeon using pipe cleaners and Lego wheels. Or maybe they have to use popsicle sticks and tape to design a crayon box, and you can have a competition to see which group's box holds the most crayons.
Another regular back-to-school activity is getting to know the teacher. Instead of sharing details about you, make your students earn the information by solving for it. Use math problems to answer questions like how old you are, maybe if you want to give that one away, how many pets you own, how many kids you have, your shoe size, your birth date, and so on. You could make the problems simple for younger students and more challenging for your older kids.
A fun way to extend this is to have kids write math problems to introduce themselves. Then everyone is not only learning about each other, but practicing a little extra math to go with it.
Surprise and delight is a powerful tool in the classroom, and it really can be as simple as moving everybody to an unexpected corner of the room for a read aloud. A little change can feel like a treat.
But the key to using surprise and delight successfully is making it intentional. Being intentional might sound like the opposite of being surprising, but things get too crazy in the classroom. This will quickly become one more thing that's lost in the shuffle.
One solution might be to write a note to yourself to include surprise and delight somewhere in your plans each week.
And to help your memory, maybe make a list of the 5 avenues to refer to. Change something, add something, celebrate something, choose something, and solve something.
Surprise and delight is an easy way to elevate your classroom, and the benefits of improved teacher-student relationships will last the whole year.
We'd love to hear how you incorporate surprise and delight. Come join the conversation in our teacher-approved Facebook group.
We hope this episode gave you a few fun, fresh ways to connect with your students and reminded you that sometimes the simplest gestures make the biggest difference.
Whether it's a goofy surprise, a thoughtful gesture, or just saying yes to something small and silly, these moments of delight help build the kind of classroom community where everyone feels seen and valued.
You don't have to do it all at once. Just pick one idea to try and let the magic grow from there.
If this episode sparked something for you, we'd love it if you shared it with a fellow teacher or left a quick review to help others find it too.
We will be back next week with another Can't Miss Classic to help you start the school year strong.
Until then, you've got this, and we're cheering you on.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Teacher Approved. I'm Heidi.
And I'm Emily. Thank you for listening. Be sure to follow or subscribe in your podcast apps so that you never miss an episode.
You can connect with us and other teachers in the Teacher Approved Facebook group. We'll see you here next week. Bye for now.
Bye.